had a great creative session with Leonardo AI, and for some reason I traveled from Viking to humanoid or AI/human robot into AI destroying the entire planet. Before I get into the lesson, it's worth noting that these two endoskeleton images I've created in Leonardo are running off the same prompt. It's just one is using alchemy and prompt magic and the other isn't. But we will get into that a little later on. What I actually want to do in this lesson is go through the upscaling process within Leonardo AI. So if I hover over this image, you can see at the bottom of the image, I've got a whole host of different options. And if I click on the image, I also have them displayed at the bottom. So the very first thing I can do is delete the image. I can go ahead and download the image. I can unzoom, which if I click this, you'll see that basically it zooms out. And within the Leonardo interface, rather than it just occurring automatically, you get a drop down menu on your image whereby any modifiers that you've applied to your image, you can toggle between. So I've got the original image, and if I hit the unzoomed image, you can see we've zoomed out. Now that's not necessarily done a great job because I can see over here at the top there's a random piece of metal. Who knows? So if I go back to my original image, next to the unzoomed image, there's the option to remove the background. Now this is a great option when it works, of course. So if I was to manually remove this background, I would most probably go down the route of ensuring the endoskeleton body stays intact. I might try and keep or retain these lasers either side of the image, and then I'd remove the rest of the background. Let's go ahead and click remove background and see what Leonardo AI does. So back in the drop down menu, if I click no background, we can see that it doesn't do a great job. It's actually only left the endoskeleton face in the image, and I'm kind of glad it has done this because whilst the feature is good on certain models, I don't really see a great use case of no background. Majority of the times I've been using it, I do not get the desired image I'm after on an alpha channel. So back into original image. Now, what we have here is a set of upscalers. The very first is the Creative Upscale. Now, this is the first upscale that Leonardo AI had prior to its updates. Depending on the time of you watching this video, I'm sure there'll be different upscalers or more advanced versions. But the Creative Upscale basically allows you to upscale the image. However, you may notice or see some type of loss within the image. So let's go ahead and click the Creative Upscale. So here we've got the Creative Upscale selected. Now you can see the image has been upscaled, but we have lost quite a lot of detail compared to the original. If I just toggle between the two, here's the original and here's the Creative Upscale. A massive loss of detail. Now this is where the next upscale comes into play. It's called the alternate upscale, and generally what this does is if your Creative Upscale doesn't capture the detail or it has lost the detail like we have in this case, I can go ahead and click it, and what I will try to do is on the upscale, it will try to retain as much detail as possible. So here we have it. I can straight away tell that this has way more detail than the Creative Upscale. So let's just toggle between the two. Here's the Creative Upscaled image and here's the alternate upscale image. A clear difference. Now if I go back into the original image, then go into the alternate upscale image, yes, there is still a slight loss in detail, but we have managed to upscale the image and of course retain a decent amount of detail. If I toggle back into the original image, I then have another two options to upscale. The first is the HD Smooth Upscaler and the second is the HD Crisp Upscaler. Now, the way I look at this is the Smooth Upscaler is very similar to the Creative Upscaler in the sense that you lose a sense of detail. However, it does it on purpose. For example, if you've got an image, in our case, we have a focused image whereby we want to retain some of the detail. However, there are parts of the image that we would like smooth and perhaps even blurry per se. So here we have the HD Smooth Upscaled image. If I compare this to the original image, you can see it's actually finessed the areas of the endoskeleton on the head and even around the nose and eyes. So if I just toggle between the two, you can see there's a decent smoothing effect applied to it. Now, if I go back to the original image, we have our last upscaler, which is the Crisp Upscaler. And essentially, this is a balance between the Creative Upscaler and the alternate upscaler. So by clicking this, technically, we should find the medium between both images. So here we have it, the HD Crisp Upscaled image. Personally, this is my favorite. If I go back to the original image, which don't get me wrong, looks absolutely brilliant, and I would prefer if I could just keep this image. However, we are upscaling the image. There is going to be some level of change, but the HD Crisp Upscaled image does a pretty good job.